Well, China has always been a reliable partner. I have always been impressed whenever I met the Chinese leaders of their sincerity, their genuine feelings of want to improve people's lives around the world.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Straight Talks. Today I will be joined by President Donald Ramotar, the former president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Hello, President Ramotar. It's an honor to have you here. The sixth plenary session of the 19th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China has highlighted the goal of achieving common prosperity, a measure to close income inequality in society. Having said that the country has already eradicated absolute poverty earlier, how would you understand China's Common Prosperity Initiative?
I believe that the party is now beginning to look at the question of relative poverty. Absolute poverty had been, you have solved that matter, but relative poverty, I think it deals with the inequality that exists, income inequality, um, more precisely, and how to deal with that. And I think that will be more difficult to do. But the Communist Party of China, of course, has the record of being able to find very creative answers in every time. But I think it's not as easy as ending absolute poverty, because it's not a question of a Robin Hood type of situation where you take from the rich and just give to the poor. Because I believe that China is still at a stage in its development where the Marxist principles of each according to his work is relevant, and it's not just to give to each according to their need. I think the question of work becomes very important. But I think the party has displayed a tremendous amount of creativity. I believe they have a lot of tools at their disposal and the government to deal with tax systems that can help to improve the general welfare of the people, create equal opportunity. But I have every faith in the Chinese Communist Party. They have shown tremendous creativity in every stage of the struggle in China for a better life.
The sixth plenary session has also highlighted that China will continue to develop a whole process people's democracy. How would you understand China's democratic system in comparison to the West?
And I don't believe that with one carte blanche, there's just one formula for everything. And people must take into consideration countries' specific situation, their cultural condition. China has some conditions that no other country has. It has a huge population. It has a very big population. It has a different history, unlike many of the countries in the Western Europe and North America. It has a totally different history. It's a very old civilization with a very old history and culture, and all of that has to be taken into account in speak. But you have also developed your own ways, like the people's congresses that you have, in which people participate. I am one of the persons who firmly believe that there cannot be any social or economic development without democracy. And China's development, therefore, implies that the degree of freedom that exists within the society, which includes people's participation being heard, people's views being heard, and so forth, is very healthy, and the discussion in the society is very healthy, and the feeling of involvement of the people has to be a given that can explain, only those things can explain China's rapid development because of the people's support and their participation. So therefore, I think that the structure that the Chinese Communist Party has created, and it took into account your people's history, your people's culture, and they have fashioned institutions that takes all of those things into consideration and allow China's democracy to flourish.
China upholds the concept of building a community with shared future for mankind as core of its diplomacy. During your time of presidency, How did you see China as a global partner?
Well, China has always been a reliable partner, and it's. I have always been impressed whenever I met the Chinese leaders of their sincerity and their genuine feelings of want to improve people's lives around the world. Then I also had the opportunity of meeting President Xi Jinping a few times, and I was extremely impressed with his creativity and his position and plans. And it really demonstrates China's policy of win-win situation in diplomacy, not necessarily looking for a zero-sum game like many other countries in the West. They only at one stage the only assistance they gave or the only investment they gave was in raw materials. Take for instance Guyana, my own country. We have been producing sugar for the last 300 years, but we're still a basic raw producer of raw sugar, and the industrialized sugar has to be done abroad. And the only reason that we're producing raw sugar was because of the characteristic of the sugar cane. That the sugar cane cannot be exported; it will spoil before it gets to Europe, and that is why they had to make the sugar right here. But it remained as its first basic form in that way. But China has been investing in developing the productive capacities of countries, the productive forces of countries. It has been investing in projects that help the human capital, education and health, hospital. I have seen myself when I was in Angola and in other parts of Africa when I visited there for different reasons. I've seen myself some of the work that China has been doing, not only in the economy, but in the social sector to help both the economy and also to develop the human capital to continue those type of development within the system. So China generally has a win-win situation in their foreign policy, and I think it's a model that really should not remain only for China. I think our world would be a far better place if this becomes more universal. I don't believe that the international interest conflicts with the national interest. That anything good that we can do to improve the international situation will benefit the national interest as well. So I think the model of diplomacy adopted by China has has done has given tremendous benefits, particularly to us in the third world, but to the world as a whole. And I think it could be a model that other countries can follow.